So I just want to talk about courage, because I really think, for me, this came up. These are the biggest paintings I've ever painted. Haruko sent me the plan for the gallery, and so I went out and bought canvas that I knew would fit my spots. And the painting right in the back, I've never painted anything that big. And so that was a challenge for me. And of course, with challenges comes some fear. I've kind of trained myself a little bit to enjoy challenge. Like, don't ask me where that came from, but I'm like, okay, this is hard. Like, I like that. Like, I don't want it all too easy. I don't want it all handed to me. There's some, like, richness about the journey. So I like the look on your face. It's like, you really understand. Thank you. I did a talk last week, and I swear, like, it was just, I was like trying to pull these people out to connect, and it's really hard to talk to a group when you don't connect. And this is an aside, but I was watching an interview of Madonna, and she was talking about performing, and they said, how do you do it? And she says, I always connect with someone in my audience. And I was like, oh, I relate to that, because you want to feel like you're in this together. Anyway, this last group, I swear to God, they're probably going to watch us online. Okay. So we're talking about courage, and I think I want to honor all of you, because it takes guts to be creative, and it takes guts to make a decision to make something and to really dive in and to commit to it. And for me, the choice of it was painting, but it's whatever you choose today to do. It does take an element of courage to go in that place. It's a lot easier to hide in, and now I'm stepping into that physical. Let's go back here. You know, we could go in here and we could say, well, I've got my job and my kid, and I've got to make dinner, and I don't have money for supplies, and I'm too busy, and we're really caught up in this, right? We could also get really caught up here, right? Like, well, you know, I need to meditate 5 hours every day, and then I have to do my mantras, and then I do 3 hours of yoga. There is no time for me to create whatever it is you want to create. So my point is that there's always these ways to avoid this zone, which is such a lovely place to be. I don't know why we're so scared of it. It's funny, isn't it? Because when you get there, it's just the best thing on the planet. You know, you know if you've been there, right?
Well, you just said it. When you get there.
Yeah.
But it takes time to get there. You have to do a long time to be in the zone. Zone doesn't happen just because you go in and start it.
I would question that. Yeah. I would Byron Katie that and say, is that true? Can I mean, and ask yourself that. Maybe that's something to ponder. Is it true that it's hard? Is it true that it takes time? I don't know. I think I'm going to talk more, and I think it'll answer maybe some of that, because there's some misconceptions about creative process. So I'm glad you brought that up. But let's keep talking about courage. So, you know, what I wrote in my notes is I said fear is rampant. We live in a very fear-based society. It's unfortunate, but it seems to be the truth of our reality right now. And we tell ourselves things to prevent ourselves from getting into that place. Like the things I was listing. I don't have money, I don't have time, I don't have talent, it's already being done, I can't, and on and on. We could sit here and come up with a whole list of the reasons why you don't get to doing whatever it is your dream or your creative process is, okay? It's scary. So we have to be willing to take action, and we have to be willing to be wrong, and it takes courage. And there's just no two ways about it. I think the other thing about creative process and that zone is that commitment. And maybe the moment we commit, maybe it just takes a second of commitment and stepping into it and saying, I'm just going to throw the paint down. Because even for me, like I would say probably I've been painting for 15 years, and I painted as a kid. I was always super creative. It still gets scary. Like, I'll like a part of a painting and I don't want to ruin it, and it comes up, like, you know. And so it still takes guts every time. Like, just because I've been doing this for so long, or I have a certain amount of success in that physical world, it doesn't mean that those thoughts and those things that stop me go away. I think where we find the middle ground is being able to act despite it. Like, it's like for me being able to stand up here despite of all the things that run through my head about speaking, which they're not a huge amount. I actually really enjoy connecting with people and sharing what I'm passionate about, which is great. I'm really lucky. But for some people, like, they'd rather die than public speak. So maybe similar for creativity, just stepping up and saying, you know, I'm going to do this. Maybe it's going to be a flop, but just that commitment, that courage. What else did I write? So just, I wrote saying yes and immersing ourselves, and then arriving at our full potential and thriving. So we have this courage and we make this commitment, and then we get the results, and we get to thrive, and we get to see our potential and create it, whatever it is that we were dreaming up in that spirituality place. But we have to step into it, really. It's our choice, and that's where courage comes in. If any of you know me personally, I have a tattoo on my back that's all about that. So it's very dear to me. So that's those 3 things that were just came up for this talk. And I want to talk now about these 4 paintings in relation to this talk about spirituality meeting physicality. So there's 4 paintings that I did for this series, and someone asked me when she first came in the order. I don't remember the order because they were all painted in tandem, as in I worked on all 4 at once, and because there's a lot of layers and it took me 4 months, I can't say that one was started and completed. It doesn't work like that for how I work. So that answers that question. But I am going to tell you about each painting and what it taught me and what the process was in relation to this talk. And the first one I'm going to touch on is Stormy. And the name should tell you something about it. This painting kicked my ass. I don't have a better way to say it. It was really challenging and it was really difficult. And I was driving back today. I have a daughter who's going to be 10 soon, and she's in grade 4. And every Wednesday I teach her class painting just for fun. It's so awesome. And I was driving in the car thinking, what do I want to say about this painting? And I got back and I wrote this down, and I wanted to say that being in this place of where spirituality is meeting physicality and doing this work and being in creative process is hard work. And it takes commitment, and it takes going back even when it's challenging. And this painting didn't work and didn't work and didn't work, and I went back and I went back. And I want to touch on this this delusion about creativity, that it's blissful and easy, and that it's la and you go and oh and you just paint. And do you know what I'm saying? Yeah, and the artists that do the work, and again, Lori is a highly respected artist in our community and has a big body of work, and you can check her out. She laughs because she gets it. Yeah. It's hard work, and you have to show up, and you have to stay committed, and you have to do it even when you don't feel like it. I people, you know, I was dating for a while ago. I gave up on that. Don't even let me go there. And I was like, oh, I'm dating an artist, and they're like, oh, are you inspired? And I'm like, this is my job. It's not about, are you inspired to go to work? You know, are you inspired to get up and do your 9 to 5? Maybe not, but you go anyway. It's the same thing for this. You show up in your studio anyway, and that's that physicality part. You step anyway. And yeah, so that's storming, is this being in this place of where spirituality meets physicality isn't always easy. Who here meditates? You ever had a meditation that's just, it's so challenging? I mean, I realize I'm blaming it. You want to get up. You know, you have another thought. It's distracting. There's an itch. The phone rings. All of these things, and you're doing everything you can to come back to whether it's your breath or whether it's a mantra. But if you meditate and you stick to that, right? You're doing the work and you're staying to it, but it's hard work. So that was really what I wanted to talk about. This painting took 2 months, and my note here is that creativity is easy as delusion. Okay? I mean, I know you're laughing, but I mean it seriously. Okay.
That's why we're laughing.
Okay. Yeah, I'm glad that you guys are receiving that.
That's exactly what I mentioned. You have to put the work, and then you get into a zone. Like you breathe, and you see it, and then in between your thoughts, there is a moment where you think, you don't think.
Yeah. For me, it's hours. Okay,
it don't happen to you from the moment.
This
have it on, but
cool.
I don't think that's
okay, so this card pack if you know me personally, you'll come to my studio